I'm just sitting here thinking about this region because I recorded a video last night where I kind of went over this, but I realized there's several different ways to explain it that are just popping in my mind as I go. So like but I did have some thoughts. So I was just looking at this like, what happened? Like, so I was thinking like this maybe started to fill up to the point where it pushed over here. Like it really seems. So I'm thinking what happened was North America rotated all of it. This seems only like this part though. Like why was this here? Cuz here implies a like all of this, all of this, basically all of this to have been all the way over here, seemingly, because here's that outlet draining like a river delta. Which was down here. So this part was down here for sure. This drainage point. And blue here, this conduit. It was for sure here, but how exactly things have changed their positioning, whether or not it's swung out. So my thought is there's a couple possibilities. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. Is it was like this. So here's South America, and now I'm not so sure now that I start saying that because it's kind of overlapping. I was gonna say maybe this Yucatan Peninsula chunk is kind of actually possibly. I've been saying that this was carved through, but maybe this is just debris piles from the fact that this is coming in so straight over here. And Florida is just like accreted almost, but it was there. It was there. I don't know. I think it just destroyed. But here it looks almost like maybe it overlaid it. So like maybe the whole of this was over here, and then like this current coming this way was just pushing on it, like a strong wind just bending it to over here. But the reason the strong wind was happening really was because this current right here and here were all cutting into Australia, which had a very like rigid core system. It's very dense. There's a lot of like dense material down here. There was. Like it took all that current flowing into this to finally like break a piece off. Once a piece broke off in the current, that's why I think it's kind of just swinging out in the current here. It swung out in the current, and then this tip was here, and it was just draining sideways, really, not this way, but more like up along it, like that. But while I was here, maybe. But then like it's almost like something caught in the wind, like it just blows away, and then suddenly like the portion like a some like a laundry thing outside, hanging clothes outside. The clothes get swept away, and the line itself is no longer nearly as like caught in the wind, so it's able to find a new steady state in the wind. So maybe it just like once Australia physically severed away in this like gushing current that was flowing here up this way and pushing here, just this here, flowing into Australia. which made this imprint here. One side flowing here, and then the other side flowing here. They're all flowing in this way, generally speaking, into Australia underneath it, and then deflecting off of it. But this is kind of like this is where it ended up being later. The deflection initially was over here, up the wall there. And then once it was able to spread out, though, like once it was this portion, initially it was just going like this. But once this stream could really get through Australia, then this widened into an opening. But something I was thinking, so like this current, if we think about it, like the ones that go this way, like the ones that go this way to the left will like most preferentially like hug this wall and hug this wall and hug this wall, kind of come through this way, right through, which is where that severance between the two is. So it's possible that this occurred largely because there was a current flowing underneath it. Just like not most of it was deflected this way, but it seems like a really nice, probably a really strong stream because of the way that it just kind of like gets this nice wall to hug and to accumulate momentum and this energy along the way, and then just kind of boom, come down here and just cut through like a saw the two segments of the Yucatan Peninsula and Central America. I don't know what these are called. It's like chunks other than the countries. I called South America a country in a recent video, and Africa a country before in my Dorka video. It's like people are gonna hate me for things like that. How could you not be aware? And it's true though, like it's valid actually. Not completely valid, but valid in some ways. Wow. So these islands for sure, the Bahamas et al., are from the current running into South America, not actually Cuba. Although it looks like Cuba, Dominican Republic, and maybe Puerto Rico actually just like were blocks of material on this chunk, the Yucatan Peninsula and at all. Maybe up here, I don't know exactly, or maybe they're parts of South America. They may just be parts here that were right here, actually. Does that fit? Like right there? That kind of fits like right there, probably. And that probably is like right there. That makes more sense to me than that they got like shot off, that they remained attached to the underlayer of this chunk of South America that just got left behind. It's just missing at the northern section that then got fed into when this feed point moved up to here, probably because of the energetic circumstances. It moved up to here, fed in here. It's just empty under there because there's a void, because it just slid off of the layer like entirely. And pressures of, balance. That's how pressure works. The universe finds equilibrium. So it goes to equilibrium by just like readjusting the circumstances, and then it feeds into it because that's how things are, which is crazy. I don't know what that reveals in chemistry. I really think this is like a great representation of some chemistry, because of the way like we can tell where it was, where it is. We can see little tabs throughout this region, and probably in a little better detail, like that one. But just enough to make some inferences that maybe are like solid inferences. Uh, like like that Cuba is probably just a chunk of South America that was just sitting there the whole time, experiencing this wind. Maybe it was actually only here then. Like this is South America. This chunk right here. And then it accumulated this chunk because of the currents. And then I'm thinking this was still together. Like as we can see here, it's like a single unit more than likely. Because it seems to essentially, here's the outlet coming into South America, but here is it's just actually it's probably a fuck. Is it a? I was thinking it's a delta earlier, wasn't I? And it could be that this was a single body that was just sitting here, filling up somewhat with a drainage point that kind of produced like a higher region of velocities, higher velocity region. Uh, but this does seem to kind of come right there, as if the currents flowing along this like body of South America that was left behind. Maybe even flow right through here, because they kind of preferentially would do that. And carve right through it. I'm just not sure. Maybe my guess is it was whole. It was whole. Australia was attached here. Australia got shot off, which then essentially caused this thing to have less of a sail in the current, so it moved to a new stable position where it physically slid on top of partially the South American plate thing that was left behind. And then the currents that were still flowing this way just punctured right through it, extended it over here, and then extended it like this current that was still flowing this way to a degree. Extended this little bit out, and then it essentially produced a connection point by the current, causing just like buildup of material there. I don't know. Just spitballing, I know, but it's probably, I was feeling a little less confident sometimes. It's weird. I feel like I like broke the game, but at the same time, I'm like not confident about it. I don't know what to do about that one. I'm still waiting for people to notice me, I guess, or me to them, or people are waiting for me to stop being an asshat and like do things their way, all of your way. It's like one one entity of all of you consciously connected, and me like also consciously connected, but and this is everyone's circumstances, not just my own, where it's almost like two entities, self and other, like universe. So like everyone but me is the universe outside of me, and then I'm the universe within me, kind of thing, or something. I don't know. To a point where I forgot what I was saying. It's almost like interacting with one consciousness, maybe, and maybe it's worth perceiving reality that way. But then it's very, very dehumanizing. Maybe is a term, like removing names. I don't care who you are. You're one with all. Just tell me what the thing. Say the words, do the things, and interact the ways. Like if you want to tell me things related to this, that, like sure, but it totally becomes like it's almost desensitized and dark in some ways, but it's really, I think it's just another level, another like tier of the universe of consciousness to perceive all as one. Suddenly, like the way we live is like backwards in some ways. Although obviously you can judge me. I think I'll stop there. I don't know. Is there anything else that I wanted to say about this? I don't know how this formed. I've definitely been spitballing, guessing, theorizing as I go around this region. It does seem my best guess right now is that it was like detached from here. Australia was hanging out over here. It was detached by the current that then brought it over here. And then it swung out this way when it actually fully detached. Ew, it's almost like it detached as a whole. Like this portion had to detach first and come over here. And then Australia could detach. Like it was too connected for Australia to like be blown away in the wind because it was held firm by the connection to South America. And so first it broke the bonds here between Central America and South America, which is probably a double bond, like top and bottom bond, if not many bonds. But on some scale, probably a double bond kind of situation. And it seems to have broken that bond first to swing over here, and then get caught in the wind. Is that how it would move? It's a little hard to tell exactly what's going on in this region. If it's related, if it's something I should be analyzing with this, it seems like I can kind of just box off this little section, but I might be mistaken. Like it seems Australia could have been generally there, which is all this is gone. So it's really here, like this, generally here. Does that make sense? Australia. In the past, I was thinking this here. That looks a lot like right there, which would suggest that was right there. This segment up here, so this segment, I guess, up here maybe, like around here, was attached to the Yucatan Peninsula region. And then this one was the main current coming off of Central America, further north here. Main current outlet, because that's the one this way, pretty much. The stuff that goes straight down and then over is pretty much brought that way, generally speaking, it seems. Whereas down here, it's a little harder to reach. Like it has to take a more precise path to get to here. Where most paths over here lead over here. Some of them lead here, some lead down here a little bit, enough to mess with that tab probably and break the bond. It looks like. But I think like. I feel like South America moved relative to North America. Not the other way. But this kind of is making me think the other way as options to explain it, but I don't think that it moved that way. To like, for North America to move up. For sure, North America didn't move from right here. So all this is in position. So the only things that could have possibly moved are this little compass rotation point. And for sure they did, right? Let's look at the oceanic crust there. That one looked like potentially good. Older. Really old, or really new. Okay. Newer after supernova. After supernova. Good to know. 40 blue. After supernova. Here, just after 60. Yup. Just after supernova is the front end. After supernova, tail end. And then orange is really older. So that happened first. This happened first. This section. 200 MA. So this was swinging out 200 MA. And then swinging back, I mean. What? This doesn't show that at all. Whatsoever. Why is that this? Orange? Oh, spreading rate. I'm just thinking that's no wonder. Oh, spreading rate low. Really high. High spreading rate. Low. Let's see what other images we can find. Okay, so it is not 200 million MA dated. Okay. Ooh, this seems like it might have some deep drilling of intact ocean crust. Harnessing past lessons to inform future endeavors. Puncture too far, it just causes an upwell and the whole surface of the earth is resurfaced. Oh, I guess hey, that's what happens when truth comes out, maybe? Is truth like the same negative outcome? Or is that like more of a positive outcome to kind of heal the things? I don't know. Age of seafloor, millions of years. So this is definitely young. Okay. Young. Very late. Post supernova. Post supernova right here. Pre supernova is green and beyond. Post supernova is this color. And maybe this one is yeah, post this one. This green is part of post supernova of the planet. The rapid supernova. I like how this one draws it black almost, like it is a gaping hole. Because it really was, practically. Here too. Here too. Let's see. I almost need one that's just the Pacific Ocean. They're too, like, global, these things. Because no one cares that much about the particulars of, like, we got the general layout of the ages. That's good enough. It probably has too many details that disprove plate tectonics to allow it to become like a major focus. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. There's too many things about like prying too closely into making this more precise that have prevented more precise studies from actually manifesting into a like material way where they're like out there and part of what's considered, because like the science likes to just only consider what it wants to consider. So it's kind of an echo chamber in that way. It doesn't allow outside ideas in unless they bust down the fucking wall and come in. Boom! I'm fucking coming in, bro. Current this way, flow this way, bitches. Yeah, plate tectonics didn't happen. It's not even true. Utterly disproved. Disproved. It's just disproved because Australia was over there and disproven. Done. This game is over, dudes. Plate tectonics did not happen. Classical mechanics is appropriate for actually describing physics. I could go on. Psychology is out of control. Politics, literally all understandings are rewritten by the theory of everything. It's just a fact of the matter. By its presence, by the presence of a concrete, really just impenetrable truth, just made of such substance. There's really not many voids. I mean, maybe there's voids in my stupidity, but like I've gotten close enough where there's good luck finding a way to pop that bubble. That bubble is a seed like no other, just perfect ether. No missing particles filling in every particle to a point where it is just dense. No pores in this model. Okay, maybe big gaping holes that have yet to be like. Okay, we gotta take some of those things from that silly old model over there, bring them over here, put them up over there. Okay, good. Like it's just because it hasn't happened, because I'm one person versus one person versus the world. Well, however many people are propagating plate tectonics as fact. I mean, some more open to alternatives than others, some absolutely unequivocally propagating plate tectonics as fact when it's wrong. It didn't happen. It's not true. It's an untruth. It's false. So, like, this current doesn't just casually go into the river of the ocean. It goes into Australia, which plate tectonics does not acknowledge to have been adjacent. Thus, wrong, disproven. It's really that simple. I've disproven plate tectonics time and again. Fucking A, time and again. Time and again. I don't know exactly what to think of this, but I do think that provides a pretty good explanation. It may be that this current this way coming out here also played a role in just like stirring up the oceanic crust here, because that's probably what these currents are doing is like producing an underlying crust that just sits there like underneath it. Underneath the current, it's probably like carving a current like surface of the like new surface, still malleable. So when this like comes out of here, it just maybe it just went that way and caused a wave through the opening, because this chunk was here of South America and South America's over here. So it was kind of just opened down the middle there to just send some energy before it like tapped in. Like it was kind of like a hose just flinging around maybe to a degree until it like found a energetic bond with this like void underneath, positive energy flow source into a void kind of thing to create a bond like energetically to allow this to stabilize. But maybe initially it was just kind of doing this, spraying out this way. Because I thought this was kind of just, this exploded. This looks very much like it just like shoved a piece of like an overarching piece that went from like here to here. Just like it broke off this way and here, and like these pieces were from this breaking off kind of thing. But I don't think that's what's happening with these. And now that I saw the underplate of South America, there's a good chance that that is overplate of South America left behind from right there, which would suggest this is like a negative. This here is related to Maracaibo. It's like the missing part of Maracaibo somehow. Or at least here. Although maybe here. It really does look like here. It's like the missing part of Maracaibo. Just making sure I'm saying that right. Maracaibo. Maracaibo. Something. Lightning capital of the world. Let's just watch it real quick. let's just watch it. Maracaibo. Yeah, that's just kind of. Oh, I'm sorry, dudes. I'm just trying to find actual this.
Topography. It's an enormous body of very, very warm water, respect kilometer per year.
You have to treat lightning with respect, and you have to consider if a storm is far enough away to actually get the shots you want. When the storm starts closing in, you have to decide if you should move in and take shelter. The weather shifts in just half a minute.
Here, that's a good scene then. And it's right. I think it happens more here, or it might actually. It might actually happen here, like right over the center. But if it's a lake related to that, it is basically missing not just this, but obviously the underlayer, like down here, the support structure. So really, like Maracaibo is not only missing the underlying layer, but it's also missing the overlying layer of that island there. Whereas the rest of this here, maybe just kind of chunk pieces in, but without like a huge missing portion. Like here. Does this stream? Oh, this looks like it's fed. Oh, shit. I thought these mountains were produced by pressure here, but I bet they're like this is right at that feed point. Right there. I bet it's coming up this way and down this way. And this flow is feeding underneath this. Playing a part in this, a significant part in shaping these mountains. Which would suggest maybe there's some of that stream still, like right there. Stream. The stream went through here, especially through there, which is why It's missing here, especially here. There's that. That. So that was the, what is this? Dominican Republic, pardon me, was here. Puerto Rico was probably here-ish. Although that looks like a lot of land there. It just kind of looks like it fits, but I don't know. To a degree. It's not quite the right shape to really be like, yes, it was there, but... Or maybe just above it, just like here. It's got a little tab. Maybe a little tab there where they separated. Like this was over here. That would make sense too, because this current is really coming this way. So when it got to here, it probably did go through here a little. Although it's not really visible in here. It just looks like it, just based on this. I don't know if it physically moved them apart, but at least it seems to be exposing some kind of potential tab type structure there. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of mountain and similar features like this are fed underground by currents. Not expected. I did not expect that. I've seen underground currents of material just feeding these little tubes. Like this one here was feeding underneath Papua New Guinea. I should look around, see if I can explain all of like similar ones. This one looks like it had something feeding under it too. Although this could be a result of that this is like at the front of this arc. I really think this was pushed into place by an arc of energy. Like it must have been. But now I'm finding a lot of things don't necessarily have to be that way. And this reveals a lot of subtlety that make it clear that's it's not that way in some ways. Although here it may be. It does seem like the current generally flows towards this, at least some paths of the current. Like here, it really needs to come down this way, like here, and really be explanatory for this arc. It kind of looks like, I mean, that may be enough to kind of suggest, yeah, build up like a wall here. Which brings me back to this outer edge. Okay. So, yeah, that's right. It was drilling along the edge when, I can't wait to have this, like, worked out in my head. I was thinking about it. It's so complex that I really need to just speak it into the world in some ways. And have the world like grab it. Some things are almost like it's a truth that's under the surface, that when it surfaces requires being held up. Like it requires being held up. Otherwise it's too dense, it'll just go back below the surface. Because the truth is too substantial. It'll just go right back below the surface. So it requires being like physically maintained above the surface by overlaying some things like plate tectonics maybe. And just being known, really, like held up. It needs to be held up, that's the thing. Truth needs to be held up and held and like, not fucking suppressed. Let's go back here. This probably is correlated to the same feed here. I'm just trying to think how it was in any way fed by that, because Papua New Guinea would have been generally here. Although maybe Papua New Guinea was here and it was being fed through this one. This looks like it was also maybe feeding into something. For sure, I want to think more about that. This is like a dripping mechanism, where this was the Mariana Trench, just creating like a pile that dripped this way. I was also thinking, as the currents come past the Mariana Trench and collide with the hexagon shape of the center of the eye and are basically caused to deflect around, that probably the currents then are caused to also flow along it and maybe collide at certain points. So like there's certain points that are like collision points for the two, where like they tend to just kind of pew 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 pew, whereas like the ones off here can just be like wee, and then wee 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 wee. So like from down here they go more in an oscillating, or maybe the colliding ones go more in a longitudinally propagating. I don't know if there's substantial differences in light waves that would be like longitudinal light waves versus, I don't know, something that would be more pew-pewy and less like one of those things that plays catch with a dog ball, like the little throws balls further by having the little scoop, like a scoop, like while elongating the. So it's kind of like one of those. It allows the ball to be thrown further. The little scoop. It's the current then kind of does seem to come down here. Oddly. And this current coming down here, it really does seem to connect maybe to here. At least generally to the Mariana Trench. Where basically it was probably putting off a current into that center eye point, which was then kind of falling like gravity, apparently. On the surface, along the surface, like sideways falling like gravity. Crazy. It is crazy. And then they spun into there, where another current was coming this way. Major vortex point, and not just major vortex point. This is spewing off major particles, like something to do with this shape, because of the way it just kind of focuses things along this like precise channel. It just gives off like anything that goes down it is basically probably accumulating material pretty well and just stuck there. So it's able to get larger systems that then when they do escape are more like islands all over, like physically above water level. What is that? That's crazy. It's like the polygon only. It just shows like the polygon's most like stable pillars. I bet that's what these really are good at representing, is how the polygons form with pillars, substantial pillars along the edge and sometimes in the middle to really, wow, they're like bubbles. They're bubbles, dudes. Holy crap, it's sending off bubbles. These ones are all bubbles? What? Whoa. Entry points for the current to flow. Pillars for supporting structure if it had one. Which maybe it does on some level, that this is more reasonable. So it's kind of like looking at X-ray vision and seeing the support through the supported structure to see the support structure. Only to see the support structure. And how like sometimes the support structure will have currents flow into it to allow for an equilibrium between the systems. Probably the current points, maybe even representative of how many like electrons it has missing or something of that nature, something more chemistry like. They're all bubbles. They're just all bubbles. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Bubble, bubble, bubble. Bubble. Let's see if we can find one with some material inside. So it's kind of like a sandbar. This is solidly made though, and it's all crossed. Just right across. Right across, right across, right across, right across. It's kind of reminiscent of fossils. Fossils. I think under a microscope, looking at a microfossil. These are probably just able to be studied, all of them, in depth. Let's see what happens to the bubbles as they approach Fiji. This one's got a nucleus now, but we got a cell. Nucleus. Membrane. Pores for exchange. We got a cell. Wallis Island. And then this is just straight up an island at that point. Interesting. Like the boundary has been filled in. All the boundary has been filled in. See the polygons? This one, if more material got through here, it wouldn't change the boundary really. It would just fill the boundary to a point where the island would be shaped like this and have an outer ring of like a sandbar looking thing. Kind of like the island I was just looking at. Like this. So we see that same shape outside of it. It's just filled in completely. The polygon is filled. That's how it works. It becomes a basin that just fills from the sides. And at some point it looks like it's just land. That's how we see things, you know. That's how we see them. What can that tell us about photons? Photons are like pockets that fill with energy in some way, making them more particle-like, more dense. Do do do. We see that same bubble structure here, even at Mariana Trench. Is that Guam? Guam. Let's see. Is this Japan? Or at least part of it? I think this is Japan. That's Taiwan. Okay. Or no, is that Taiwan? That's probably Taiwan. Okay. Very, very much like a solid landmass. A polygon that's been filled already. This one doesn't have that new island kind of look. Like the boundary here, interesting. Maybe almost like gone. Like the polygon's walls kind of just like removed. And then like the nucleus is all that remains. Kind of like taking a ammonite out of the matrix. These are probably more so just chunks off here, so it's not gonna have that like fresh new island that's a bubble, that's kind of thing. Like these are bubbles. Let's see, Easter Island. How's that one look? Easter Island. It doesn't. It's kind of got an edge. It's kind of got an edge. I don't know. It looks real sturdily made. Like it could be. I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't have that same bubble feature. That may be more prominent only where I was just looking, honestly. Whoa. This looks like Western United States before it was drained. Like here's California. That big ol' body of water that used to be there. Big old body of water that used to be here and drained out through here. I might have lost what I was looking at. Let's go to Hawaii then. The smaller ones. This one did not form a full polygon. It just didn't close off. This one formed a full polygon, but it's tiny. I wonder what that reveals. What is going on with this? Like currents that drilled into it some reason. These just look unstable. They didn't form cohesive polygons. This one apparently did enough. But let's go to Hawaii more. A little closer to the main island. Oh, we got a square. What is this? Probably this one and this one are best. Really not polygonal shapes distinctly. Maybe a bit on this one. Like we can kind of see it still, I guess. Although arguably that's a beach, but maybe that's why it's a beach, because it's on like the polygonal outer edge. It hasn't fully filled the polygon. Like here it's filling to the point where it's overflowing the edge and creating just like a solid rock, kind of more standard like boundary. Where here maybe the currents were flowing this way generally. It wasn't able to actually cover the sandbar, although that doesn't really make sense down here. I don't know. For sure this polygon's covered pretty adequately. Looks like it's got an east, west, north, south. Should like cross here a little bit. This is K Ui. K Oahu. Some sort of splitting. Whoa. It's so beautifully green. Look at the colors of green in here are so like green. Alive green. Like they really are alive kind of green colors. Like the dark green, that's more forest green, but this is just like, to me, this is like some highly nutrient dense region for some reason. Although I don't really know biology enough to know that makes sense. These probably just filled polygons with magma, where other ones down there filled more with like subtle. Like these are filling with sand. So they're just sandbars. They're just filling with sand. Where Hawaii is the same polygonal shells filling with lava. To be much more sturdy of a stable structure. But to hide the polygonal body that it's within. Okay, guys, I think that is, I mean, some progress for sure. I just need people to go through and we can work out what's true and what's not true together. Unless we find out that nothing is true and everything is false in some sense. Like it can be disproven no matter how far we go to some new truth, no matter how far. But it seems like at some point we'd arrive at that there is no truth. But then that doesn't make sense. Then it's like an oxymoron or paradox. It doesn't actually make sense. It's like two opposites. Like there is no truth, but that's a truth in and of itself. So it is a truth. So there is a truth. Doesn't work. Thus, there must be a truth, a real truth, an absolute truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And what that is not known, but I'm seeking it. So, thanks for seeking it with me.